This is the video lesson for Module 1.02 Poetry, and this goes over how to do the assignment. It says for this assessment you must select one poem from the Virtual Poetry Museum, and you can go back to this and click on it, but it's just page 4, the previous page, and it has, I think, like 8 or 10 poems that you can pick from, and you're going to provide an in-depth analysis of it. So you're going to follow these 3 steps to complete your analysis or your assessment. And remember that on page 4, they showed you how to do an analysis of it with the Edgar Allan Poe poem. So you're going to select and read a poem from the Virtual Poetry Museum, and then you're going to fill out your Experiencing Poetry Organizer to provide your in-depth analysis. So if you click on this, it's going to bring this up, and you'll need to save it as a Word document or whatever word processor you're using on your computer. Probably maybe Google Docs, and then that way you can fill it in, because you cannot write on it in this. That doesn't work. Please don't print it and like scan it or take a screenshot of it. It's really hard for me to grade those when they're like that. It's also difficult for me because I have to provide a work sample, and those just don't work at all. So please do save it and submit a digital copy of it to the Dropbox. One where you've typed into this, not where you printed it and took a picture. Okay, so you're going to go through these different parts, and remember that with poetry, there are some right answers, but there's a lot of just how you relate to the poem and how you feel. So don't get hung up on, oh, I'm going to get these wrong. Don't worry about that. Just do your best, be as informed as you can, and answer the questions according to what you know and how the poem makes you feel. I mean, like this one here, figurative language. You're going to have read about figurative language. You should have read about that in the previous lesson, and the previous video I went over that. You should have read about it in the lesson, and then you're going to know, you can look at your poem and see where the figurative language is, so that you can answer these correctly. But again, I always give, high grades for people who have put in the effort. So as long as you're on the right track, I know that poetry makes some people really nervous, but don't worry about that. Poetry is a lot about how you relate to the poem. So do your best on this, but don't worry that you're going to get it wrong, and don't let that hang you up. Okay, like for example, meaning, like that's a lot of just what you think. I'm not going to mark you wrong for sure on stuff like that. Okay, so then it says, select one magazine from the options below that you believe would be a good place to publish the poem you selected. Write one paragraph of 5 to 7 sentences explaining why you selected the magazine for the poem. Provide supporting evidence by using quotations from the poem to justify or support your opinion. Follow standard spelling, grammar, and punctuation rules. So this will go underneath that little graphic organizer. Remember, because you're saving it in a Word document. So the magazines are Love Stinks, Family and Friends, or Cloud 9. And people who are on Cloud 9, if you don't know that expression, it means they're very in love, they're super happy, all of life is good for them. Okay, and then you can also click on the magazine and it will tell you more, or see, no, you just hover over it. It says Love Stink, the perfect magazine for those who have been burned by love. So pick that one and write a paragraph, 5 to 7 sentences about why you think your poem would fit into this. Don't forget that part. A lot of students, when they do this, they do the graphic organizer and then they forget about the 3rd step. Don't forget about that. It is part of your grade. You will only get half credit if you don't do the whole thing. And that's it. So let me know if you have any questions, and I'm looking forward to reading all of your analyses.